Rap News Street Politics back with another federal indictment coming out the city of Los Angeles. 3 months ago, the feds were just in the city of La Puente on Beliza Street with a takedown. And now they've came back to the gutter in MacArthur Park with the smokers walking around butt naked on dog food, crazy riders serving IDs like the DMV. And the last time they were here, MS-13 was hunting down federal informants. But this time they've came for 18th Street with the RICO case and squeezed 12 members with allegations of serving out the camping tents in the park, along with putting hits out on people who were not paying proper tax, all at the direction of an individual who called herself Gorgeous, La Reina, or La Señora Kiko Gonzalez, who's married to documented Mexican mafia member Jorge Huero Caballo Gonzalez. Now, this indictment just dropped March 4th of this year, 2026, and the feds have dubbed it Operation Dead Horse. And the feds allege that Huero Caballo, with Caballo meaning horse, is the ultimate shot caller of 18th Street. And as we see, Kiko got the tattoo, Horses Run Wild, on her arm. So you know how the feds like to play. This is their attempt at taking out a small piece of a large operation. And I say that because before this indictment dropped, a Mexican mafia indictment dropped last year on Ronaldo Ayala, one of the 2 Ayala brothers who the feds say are high-ranking members of the Mexican mafia, as well as members of the Sinaloa Cartel. The feds have came to the conclusion that the Mexican mafia and the Sinaloa Cartel have made a deal with each other that was being overseen by Ronaldo Ayala. The deal is that while all incarcerated members of the Sinaloa Cartel are sitting in prison, they're to be protected by the Mexican mafia in exchange for drugs to be pumped through the city of LA and San Diego. And of course, they say that protection extends directly to El Chapo sitting in the feds, as well as his son, El Raton. And MacArthur Park is a multi-million-dollar operation that's being controlled by not only 18th Street, MS-13, and the Crazy Riders, but 18th Street has multiple cliques who have their hands on MacArthur Park. The main one that this indictment focuses on is the Columbia Little Psychos in Westlake. The Hoover Locos are also going to be over here, and Shadow Park is down the street from this area as well. Now, there's a lot of 18th Street cliques over here, but those are the big 3 that are most well known in this section and who the FBI has put their focus on. But when it comes to the star of the show, La Reina, this is an individual who's put in place like many other females have been in the Mexican Mafia organization. This is not the first time that a female has spearheaded a federal indictment when it comes to these situations. This is an old tactic that they've been using time and time and again, with dudes sitting down, utilizing women like this as they reach and controlling shit on the streets. But not only was she handling Huero Caballo's business, she also has some female beef on the street when she ordered the murder of another female who was selling drugs and not paying taxes, and ended up having her hit in Rockwood Street Locos hood by the Columbia Little Psychos. But along with her sending hits, ordering DPs, collecting taxes, and imposing fines on 18th Street members, she has some main dudes around her. Her 2 enforcers were Edward Escalante, aka Toro, and Edward Alvarenga, aka Tito. And their main goal was to not only protect her, but to also collect taxes from anyone and any business that they deemed fit, generating money in 18th Street hood. The next 2 individuals in the hierarchy were somewhat of the hitman, George Carrillo, aka Chuco, and Carlos Beltran, aka Negro. Them, along with their understudy, Felipe de Los Angeles, aka Indio, were the ones executing the hits on the list and serving DPs of other 18th Street members. And lastly, a part of the RICO charge, the individual that was running the casitas in the 18th Street hood, Edwin Martinez, aka Dreamer. Casitas are underground gambling spots. They may have some other activities in them, the hole-in-the-wall spots that the members and members of the public be at on the under. But these 7 out of the 12 defendants that went down are all on the single RICO case indictment. The other 5 have other individual drug indictments. Really, those individuals are a part of one-off cases that the feds picked up to glue together in this entire takedown. But these 7, a part of the RICO in Operation Dead Horse, are the main players in all the fun in MacArthur Park. So the feds jumped this off by saying they got onto 18 back in 2023. But the paperwork alleges that the feds were on Gorgeous all the way back in 2020, when on July 29th of 2020, they caught her selling a pound of meth to a confidential informant. Now, the confidential informant was what is referred to as a mayorista, or a wholesale supplier, who then breaks the work down to what's called traqueteros, which are the street dealers. Now, the mayoristas and the traqueteros are both taxed individually by 18th Street. And the feds became intrigued by her because after she sold the CI this pound of meth, she turns around and then taxes him $700 for any future business that he plans to do with the pound of meth that she just supplied this dude. So out the gate, she came through pressing a muscle over here by MacArthur Park in this Westlake area. Now, she's originally from that El Sereno, Bull Heights area. She went down on this indictment in Bull Heights, but El Sereno also has 18th Street, which is Eastside 18th Street. Eastside 18th Street is where her husband, Puerto Caballo, was from. Now, it's not known exactly how them two hooked up. We broke down in previous indictments, like the Playboys one, how these situations culminate with dudes that have been sitting down for years, getting new women on the street. But claims have been made that when she started imposing her reign over here in this MacArthur Park area, 18th Street started to get a little funny. Like the power started going to her head for real. Now, we know 18th Street could definitely be considered one of the largest gangs in the city, but the difference between them and the hood like Florencia is all one hood. All they hoods are the same. 18th Street, even though they have at least 20 different sets throughout LA County, they're all different hoods, being controlled by 3 different Mexican mafia members, but Puerto Caballo is said to be at the top. But as the feds start watching them in 2020, this is when they get on to Indio, again, the understudy of the 2 hitmen over here, Chuco and Negro. October 21st, 2021, they got an account of him going into a bar in 18th Street hood. The bar is unnamed, but the individuals that he approached in that bar made statements to the feds, saying that he came in saying he understands that they're trying to do their business in the bar, and that's cool, but they gotta realize that 18th Street needs a percentage and something that's reasonable for them dudes to continue to operate that bar in this hood. And in so many words, he went on to say if they couldn't reach an agreement at that moment that he was in there, that he was gonna shut them down that day. And as we see with most of these federal indictments, extortion is one of the fastest ways to get caught up in a RICO. Now, they ended up pulling out the wiretap, and of course, now they focusing on Indio. February 3rd, 2022, for all the people that's listening that visit these casitas, Indio explained how he started fixing machines in casitas because 18th Street was losing money. The patrons were making too much paper in these illegal gambling operations. So as we see, it didn't take long for Indio to glue itself to a federal indictment. But on wiretap, July 27, 2022, Gorgeous is on the phone with her 2 hitmen, Negro and Chuco, and she's discussing a woman involved in the drug trade by the name of Michelle Zaragoza. She tells them that Michelle has failed to pay her extortionate taxes for operating in 18th Street hood. And this is when Negro and Chuco raise their hand to go ahead and get Michelle out the way for this simple fact. Now, it's not too often that we see women ordering the hit of another woman. And this is kind of where we see the power trip going to La Señora's head, the power that was instilled in her by Puerto Caballo. So July 27, 2022, the same day, it's reported that Michelle Zaragoza is in her vehicle and 2 individuals enter her vehicle. Shortly before 1 a.m. on this night, she pulls up to Crown Hill Avenue and South Union Place in Rockwood Street Locos hood. It said that she sustained a gunshot wound and the trajectory matched that of an individual sitting in her passenger seat, shooting her in the head, and 2 individuals were seen getting out of her car and getting into an escape vehicle. Now, LAPD didn't have enough to glue Chuco and Negro to the whole thing. They couldn't prove that either one of them dudes had a gun. But this is when the feds step in and find a conspiracy spearheaded by none other than Kiko Gonzalez, aka Gorgeous. Now, throughout 2023, business as usual, taxing their own members out of 18th Street and selling methamphetamine all throughout MacArthur Park. They planned multiple murders on individuals from 18th Street who were allegedly in bad standing with the hood. Multiple individuals who weren't allowed to sell dope in MacArthur Park. And on October 12, 2023, in a casita, Kiko's in there with the members. And they got one of them dudes in bad standing in the casita getting a DP. The paperwork alleges that they maimed this individual along with hitting him upside the head with a brick before shooting him in his leg as part of a DP. And again, this further shows the power trip that La Senora was on, and proving what some was saying about how the hood had changed since she started to impose that power over here by MacArthur Park. Now, it came to a point where they spoke about robbing and potentially killing another female drug dealer in MacArthur Park. This is when Tito gave permission to another dealer to go ahead and do that to her because she was no longer paying taxes to 18th Street. He said that he had to get the final call from Kiko to make sure everything was sanctioned. And right before this indictment dropped, they caught Toro collecting taxes from a confidential informant 5 times before they decided to close the curtain and take everybody down. Now, this is nowhere near the first time 18th Street, especially the Columbia Little Psychos, have been in a federal indictment. They took down 39 of these dudes in 2007. Around that time, they also took down Shadow Park and the Hoover Locos, and in 2013, they took down 20 dudes from Rancho Park. And they've noted that over the last 10 years, 18th Street has committed 250 gang homicides, which is a murder rate 3 times higher than any other gang in the area. But with over 100,000 members operating in over 100 cities, a transnational organization, this indictment is just for what a lot of y'all be saying in the comments, just to show something for the upcoming Olympics. Because MacArthur Park is definitely gonna remain one of the most grimiest places in the city of LA. Now, the La MA indictment with the Ayala brother, who's also known as the Professor, not only dealt with the Sinaloa cartel connection, but the key factor that we see in every single Southsider or Mexican Mafia indictment is the extortion or the taxes that's imposed on members. We go through countless indictments where we see the same thing, them collecting money from their members and musicians, like we spoke about in the Big Rabbit and Peso situation on the east side in the PBSs. But along with the Sinaloa cartel connection in that indictment, they had some rappers in there that were imposing taxes on other rappers. They had Big Temps, who was said to be the main tax collector in Riverside County, and a rapper coming out of Riverside County, as well as Mr. Payaso and Menace, who are from a hood in Seattle called United Locotes. That indictment shows at the direction of the Professor. They shook down the individual who went unnamed as a rapper in the indictment for claiming Mexican Mafia affiliation in a video on YouTube. Now, Mr. Payaso and Menace ended up carrying out an arson on that individual's property for claiming Mexican Mafia affiliation and not paying up. And they compared that shakedown with Mr. Payaso to a situation with King Lil G, another individual from 18th Street who was said to be paying taxes to Huero Caballo. So all of these indictments are really different chapters out of the same book with these dudes. But as usual, everybody is innocent until proven guilty. This indictment just dropped. These dudes have just went into federal custody. There is some speculation about Kiko Gonzalez getting out on a $2 million bail and actually being taken over to the sheriffs. But it does seem like the feds picked her up and she's stuck. I don't see them dropping an indictment and giving her a bail in one day. Usually it's a process. We'll see how things go, but she's tied into them dudes at the top, and 18th Street is set to pick up the pieces in $1 million operation coming out of MacArthur Park. But this is what's going on with Barrio 18 in LA. Y'all make sure y'all stay tapped into the channel. You know we gonna hit every indictment that drops in the streets, and we gonna bring y'all as close as possible. It's the best hood channel on YouTube. Rap news, street politics. Stay locked in for the next one. We out.